The ancient city of Firozabad is famous for its glassware industry, which employs a large number of skilled and semi skilled laborers in and around the region. Firozabad, one of the chief exporters of glassware, is situated in north central India in the western part of Uttar Pradesh.
Minority government wants us to identify people who work with this particular craft, which is dying. At the same time, it's a beautiful craft which should not die.
The name Firozabad was given in the regime of Akbar by Faraz Shah, Mansabdar of Mughals in 1566. It is said that Total Mal was robbed in this town on his pilgrimage to Gaya. At his request, Akbar sent his Mansabdar Faraz Shah here to make the city a cantonment to civilize the thieves who lived here. Glass industry history is 200 years old in Firozabad. It is said that the people who made and sold bangles were called manihars. The manihars were scattered all over the country, but eventually they came together and settled in and around Firozabad. Thus, Firozabad became the melting pot of manihars. The glass industry, especially the modern glass bangles technology, was started and invented by Haji Rustam Ustad. Over time, production slowly became more widespread among the locals, and people from surrounding villages started pouring in, seeking for new opportunities. This was the start of the glass industry in Firozabad.
First idea was to get to understand their current conditions of how they produce and work and live in the same atmosphere. At the same time, how does the work goes out from their houses to the places where it can be sold from.
Along with the chief industries, Firozabad is stippled with a number of cottage industries where people employ their domestic spaces for carrying out tasks like bangle finishing and decoration, glass cutting and grinding, and glass surface embellishments. Among these cottage industries, the predominance of craft practices like bead making and flame work is quite evident, owing to the variety of products available in the local shops. Flame work is the type of glass work where a torch is primarily used to melt the glass. Once in a molten state, the glass is formed by blowing and shaping with tools and hand movements. It is also known as lamp working or torch working, even though the modern practice no longer uses oil-fueled lamps. In Firozabad, flame work is practiced by both the Hindu and the Muslim communities. The craft of bead and bangle making, practiced in several villages around Firozabad, laid the foundation of glass flame work, also known as batti ka kaam. The religious influence is evidently seen on the motif and form vocabulary of the flamework artisans belonging to minority community. Craftsmen here have an indigenous ways of dealing with their techniques and production problem, which is quite laudable. They improvise their own tools as per the requirement. Most of the artisans prefer making geometrical motifs and structures of trees and flowers. But due to extensive market competition, they have started producing figurines of animals, birds, and even Hindu idols like that of Lord Ganesha. Wide range of natural forms has its roots in local and regional motifs derived from Mughal monuments all around India, specifically from the Taj Mahal.
After understanding what is the kind of work that they do and the kind of skill they have is when we started conceptualizing and planning around what can be done with that. First workshop was about discovering what the possibilities and the limits to which you can stretch this technique, where we were not looking really at the product, but how comfortable you can get with the craftsperson and how much can you push the person to be able to expand their own boundaries, and also understanding at the same time what does the material do.
ये अकेले काम करते थे, तो मैंने सोचा मैं भी थोड़ा बहुत इनकी हेल्प करवा दूंगी तो मतलब थोड़ा ज़्यादा काम हो जाएगा। ऐसे शुरू किया था मैंने काम। पहले तो मतलब ये सोचा था मतलब ये काम अच्छा नहीं है, मतलब अब ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब थोड़ा सही लग रहा है काम करने में।
मुझे ज़्यादा टाइम तो नहीं है, फिर भी 5-6 साल हो गए मुझे पापा का मतलब साथ देते हुए। मैं पापा के साथ ही काम करवाती थी, थोड़ा थोड़ा मैं वहाँ उनसे सीख भी गई पापा से। हाँ, इससे पहले मैंने बनाई है, जैसे बहुत सारी चीज़ें बनती थी उसमें आधा पापा का हेल्प कर देती थी, मैं पूरी चीज़ कंप्लीट नहीं करने देते थे वो मुझे। पहले जो काम करते थे वो कुछ अलग था, और ये हम काम कर रहे हैं इसमें जो वर्कशॉप में, ये कुछ नया है, बहुत कुछ नया है इसमें।
Interestingly, women in these families work. I mean, they're kept behind the doors. Most of these women actually contribute equally to the entire process. They don't give all the time to this, and plus they are always kept as a helper and not really the main craftsperson. The 3 women that we have on the workshop, and at some point we started interacting with them in such a way that they could do something on their own. They started with those small elements, but those elements became the product itself. So they didn't have to give it to another person to put it together to make that actual object. Applause and appreciation they got from the people who were visiting their work is when they gain that confidence. They can work on their own now, so which is a positive step. Second was, after we realized what can be done with it, we started looking at how can you convert them into things and objects of use or beauty. Now what happens in real life is that the craftsperson is completely removed from the person who's going to buy their stuff. They do not understand or know the lifestyle that it is going to go into. So we were trying to bridge that gap by taking them to the places where it is sold from, and also to introduce them to people who are going to buy them. Third workshop is finalization of what can you do in terms of product ranges. So in between these 2 workshops, what we also worked on was the kind of market we can sell it to, the kind of people it will go to, and at the same time we are looking at these objects from the point of view of the person who is going to make it, because after a while we will be out of the scene and this will stay with the people who are making it, and at the end of the day this workshop is meant for them. So while it has to be user and market friendly, it has to begin with being craftspeople friendly. How accepting they are to new ideas, and how good their visualization of a product is amazing.
मैम ने खूब अच्छी तरीके से बताया, इस तरीके से आप कलर करें, इस तरीके से वो करें। काफ़ी अच्छी तरीके से हमने सीखे और बना के भी दिखाया, तो वो भी बोले हाँ बहुत अच्छा है।
इसमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें होती है जो मतलब समझ में नहीं आती। अब जैसे कि हमें लगता है कि हम जहाँ तक काम करते थे हम बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं, लेकिन इन लोगों ने बताया तो ऐसा लगता है कि ये भी अच्छा है, अगर इससे ज़्यादा और कुछ होगा तो वो भी बहुत अच्छा ही होगा, बेटर होगा। पर मैं बस ये बोलना चाहती हूँ, आगे इसी तरह से अगर वर्कशॉप भी ना हो तो आप लोग मतलब इसी तरह से आएँ और हम लोगों को बता दें थोड़ा बहुत, तो आगे चल के हम लोग को बहुत फ़ायदा होगा। यहीं तक ना ख़त्म हो ये वर्कशॉप।
The other thing that is also being done with this workshop, which is slightly different from what you usually do, is that we've also roped in e-platform market with this, so that they get a ready platform to sell out through. It gives them a completely new world to sell out their stuff from, which otherwise is mediator driven. So this website called Shop Clues, which is a government initiative, which is also a partner with Ustaad project and gives them e-platform, is the one which is going to sell their products. All crafts have a certain aesthetic beauty to them, and even if they are similar materials, even if they are similar techniques, each person has their own artistic take to that. And art in any form is something that's worth preserving. That is what makes the world sane and livable.
इनकी बात से ये मालूम पड़ता है ये कला अब जागेगी.
The glass handicraft of flame work practiced in Firozabad has been going on for years. There is no denying that it has managed to spread and diversify, but at a very slow rate. Once we look at the craftsperson, their skill, the material, the technique, the product range, the market, etc. in totality, we can definitely say that there is a lot that can be done within the craft to increase exposure and market visibility. There is good possibility of extension of the product range in order to diversify both the product range as well as the market.